Hello and welcome back to Monstrosities, a vlog of Tokusatsu. I'm your host, Matt Burkett, and today is a special live stream where we are actually bringing a returning guest. If I'm not mistaken, he's actually the first guest we actually had on here for an interview to talk about some designer toys. So you guys are in for a treat. We never really talk about the plastic much here on the show, but today is going to be something special. Mr. Geoff Maxfield, what is up, man?
Hey, how's it going? How's it
Going well, my
going,
friend. How you
Matt?
doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. We're just chilling out, having a great time.
Just wanted to say hello to Doomzilla, who's in the house. We also got Isabella as well as Acno Goji. Geoff, you know what? I think I just would like to start off, if you're cool with it. I just would like to show off this trailer that you made because I think that's really going to set the tone for what we're about to talk about.
Go for it. Go for
Cool.
it.
Here we go. This is over at the Kickstarter, which was fully funded, by the way, for Neo Fighter Sofubi.
Creator of King Liger, and in association with Mile High Sofubi comes the Neo Fighters. Twist Kid, the Gruen, and Daikuma. Get ready to crash, smash, and slug it out with the Neo Fighters. With a devastating 1 point of articulation and standing in at 2 inches tall, they're ready to throw down with your minifigure collection. Oh, the humanity! Oh, the humanity! Back this project today and you'll receive amazing rewards such as buttons, stickers, original artwork, early access to the Neo Fighters, and an exclusive colorway. Help raise enough money to not only create the Neo Fighters, but unlock more amazing characters from the Neo Fighters universe. The Neo Fighters Sofubi minifigure series comes with everything you see here. Ring and toy collection not included.
That is awesome, man.
I wasn't going to give those toys away. That was my toy collection. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that's going into that. You got, there's tokusatsu references, there's wrestling stuff. Can you just tell me, like, what are Neo Fighters? Like, why did you create them? What is this?
Oh my God. So like Neo Fighters was kind of the brand idea that the brand that I sort of came up with many years ago for the stuff I was doing based off of, I think, how a lot of people do things where they're like, well, let's think of all the things that we love and let's put it together and kind of make that sort of our name and sort of our concept. We being just me, one person, Neo Fighters to me was like taking stuff from video games that I love, like Henshin Heroes stuff and pro wrestling. If you recall, like last time we were on, we talked about King Liger, who is my my first soft vinyl toy that I made with Lulabelle Toys. And originally I was going to try and work with Lulabelle Toys on this, but due to the pandemic, things got very hairy, and this was sort of like this was my pandemic project. But the concept of the Neo Fighters has been around since about 2010. Oh no, wait, earlier than that. I came up with these characters just about around like 2008, 2009. And so It was just a lot of stuff where I took the time and I sculpted versions of them. I re-sculpted, came up with different versions of them, and kind of evolved as things went on. In fact, funny enough, I have my old Fimo Sculpey figures that I had made of these guys originally, and you're gonna see what they looked like, how they originally looked. So, like the three guys that are in the set, this is the first guy of all of them that I ever made, which was Twist Kid.
That's awesome.
And he was one I just kind of sat down one day. I was just thinking, what's something what's something simple yet effective? And so I just came up with that. And I love him. I just loved how simple and fun he was. And for the longest time when I was a little kid, I was making these three-fingered, two-toed guys, sort of like Ninja Turtles, and it just was always a thing for me. And then like the other ones kind of came after that. I had like some glow in the dark Sculpey, and I'm like, well, what's some fun stuff I can do with my glow in the dark Sculpey? So I made the Gruen, and he was like one of his tentacles fell off like years ago, but like so he looked like that originally, where he had like these curly cues, and then he had these bolts on the kind of like these nodules on his back. And I kind of always had this idea of this sort of like kind of shocky, electric-y sort of character, like a Portuguese man of war, really. That he was like based off of sort of a Nigerian sort of monster or creature. And then Daikuma, which is easy because he was a bear, so he was just doing more, just doing stuff. I mean, it's funny because like this kind of just shows like, yeah, these were kind of really early concepts, but it also was sort of an evolution of me switching to different mediums as time went on as well. Just a second. Air conditioning.
Oh, there you go. He is important.
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I mean, I was using Super Sculpey, and I was like, yeah, this is okay, but I can't really do much with any tools. Let me try out clay. Let me try out some terracotta clay. And then when I finally touched base with someone named Marty Hansen, who actually, if TJ was on here, he would actually know Marty. He was someone who worked with the guys who did stuff with Glyos, and still does a lot of indie toys. He goes by he's the God Beast, and he was the one who helped me make my first real toy that I put out, which was Twist Kid. And this is like the next step of what Twist Kid became, was this little muscle, like Kinnikuman muscle figure sized version, and I sculpted him in wax. And I really felt like I was getting my stride in I was catching my stride in wax, which was Castelline wax. And that's what all of the guys now have been sculpted in, because you can do such nice detail work with dental tools and get everything you kind of want out of them. And you don't have to worry about like fingerprints. You don't have to worry about, sturdiness, because they can be very sturdy. And it's really great. So that's what I ended up sculpting these guys out of.
That's awesome.
Now I did kind of dodge around what Neo Fighters means. If anybody like knows video games from the 90s, if they're hardcore arcade video game people, they know about SNK, the Neo Geo.
King of the Monsters, a while, 1 and 2.
Yes, King of the Monsters. And for a while, we actually had a Neo Geo MVS arcade cabinet in our apartment before we had moved. And in my library, I had the first King of the Monsters. I had Kizuna Encounter, which is one of my favorite fighting games of all time. Kizuna Encounter. Last Blade 2. It came with Galaxy Fight and Samurai Showdown 2. And cool. I think I had a sixth game. I can't remember what the sixth one was. It'll come back to me eventually. But the first two that I mentioned there were King of the Monsters and Kizuna Encounter. And along with the idea, like kind of the rooted idea of King of Fighters that SNK had made, where you have these teams of three fighters that team up, I thought it would be cool to come up with this idea of making teams of three and putting them out. And that was the idea behind the stretch goals originally, was that I was going to have teams of 3 characters. And I made it to the end of the Kickstarter just like at the bare minimum, which is good, which is fine. I still got to make the three characters that I was happy to make. But
Right.
but yeah, as you saw, there was about like 12 more people to make, or 12 more characters to make or so.
Let
And I
me
was ready.
sorry, let me get the it just closed the tab on it, but let me get that back up because you had all the graphics of these guys and it was great.
Yeah,
Um
and I can tell you kind of who was who, and like all of them were just sort of like a culmination of all the ideas that I'd had over the years. Like characters that I made in wrestling games, characters that I thought
yeah, I
would
mean
be
the
great.
influence is, I mean, from your interests are just huge. I mean, you're talking about muscle figures in there. I mean, that's something I grew up with as a kid. Same thing with like Monster in My Pocket. Um there's I see, the tokusatsu influences in there, just there's so
Big
much cool
Guyver
stuff. Guyver,
big
right?
Guyver influences. But yeah, those pixel arts were actually done through a program called Pixin on the Macintosh. What was nice about Pixin is that you can do really good simple animations, and you can keep a solid color palette. So I kept it simple, where I just used the NES color palette for that,
Yeah.
and like just only used 4 colors for each character. There's only 4 colors
Wow.
in each one, and so just to keep it simple, that's what I did. But yeah,
It's
but yeah, that's
fantastic.
if you go down, you'll see all the characters who would have been or could possibly be in the future as time goes on. But yeah, the first one, there's King Liger right there.
Yep.
I was remodeling King Liger, and then I came up with a female luchador, as well as kind of an old, kind of tough guy wrestler named Dasher Star. And then under that, I made the bad guys. I wanted to have some like really solid bad guys, so I wanted to make like a M. Stanglin right there in the middle, and then Dr. Silverado, because I wanted like sort of like this El Santo style bad guy, so like a
Yeah.
vampire sort of bad guy, and then like this old ogre looking guy named Garacus. And then for some odd reason, I decided to like, we have this joke among my friends that we come up with really stupid wrestlers, like with really bad, lousy names. So if anything, it's an inside joke on my own, where you have on one end you have like a Japanese deathmatch guy named Mega Glazer, and in the middle you have like a Roidy Magoo named 1, 2, 3 Neck, and then on the end you have Bad Zuger. Like just like these great ridiculous names that I know I would hear somehow in pro wrestling. So I'm just
That's awesome.
like there's a great there's a great Instagram that people should follow, called Ham and Eggers, which is just a bunch of jobber wrestlers, and they're people from all over history of pro wrestling, and you just find these great ridiculous names, and I love it. And then yeah, I wanted to do something like I wanted to do some kind of classic sort of monster characters. So I have Super Frank right there, who was based off of there's a stretch of an explanation of what Super Frank is, other than the fact that he was this dream that I woke up laughing at, where I thought of this stupid dream where like you play as this Frankenstein character who keeps losing in the game. And so that's Super Frank. He's been through a lot. There's Romanov, who is like basically a vampire. My concept of like what a vampire could be, and then Mag Tut, who is obviously a mummy with magnet hands.
That's awesome.
He's got a magnetic personality. Everybody likes him. And then I think considering if I were to go back and do this, I probably would have put this team at like more near the front, just because they are again more of some of my stronger sort of designs where I wanted to make some fish bad guys. So the deep agents, so Chakra, an electric eel, Rose Pierre, basically a swordfish, and then David, the Dunkleosteus, which is that fourth fish. Dunkleosteus is Latin for David's bone, so that's why I call him David. So
Nice.
so yeah, I just wanted to do something kind of fun, kind of like the characters themselves are almost in a body style of King of the Monsters or even River City Ransom sort of
Oh yeah,
body shapes. So
I can definitely see that.
I wanted to really wanted to be fun with it, and just that's sort of the inspirations that I had grabbed from all those characters. But I will say, even though the characters weren't all the characters weren't made yet, I had taken time to sculpt some of them. So like there is one half of what King Liger will
Oh,
eventually
cool.
look like if I do end up making him. And then I also did like M. Stangelin as well, because like again, he's just another weird creator wrestler I would always make, just a man with stars and a checkered past. So
Love
yeah,
it.
yeah, that was sort of the big deal there. But the great thing was that things did get funded in the end. Um, I think one thing that people can sort of criticize about Kickstarters in general is like, where does the money come from, and how many people are backing it? Is it really gonna is it like a popularity contest? How many people are you paying to get your ads out? All those things. I was completely grassroots, and I asked, and there was a lot of people who I asked for help to put on their podcasts. There was a little bit of sponsorship here and there, but it was all within a very small budget that
Yeah.
I had. In the end, like some friends and family did kind of close the gap for me, and it was greatly appreciated. And
That's awesome.
I always worried that that was a bit of like a hallowed victory, but I ended up talking with someone who I respect greatly, who is an entrepreneur and uh, person who sells things.
Oh
And
yeah, I've heard of that.
they honestly say, I know, right? They honestly said, when it comes down to it, it really doesn't matter where the money comes from, as long as you have people who are there who care for you and want you to succeed. That's the most important thing. So I would say never feel ashamed when it comes to somebody who's like a friend or family who's just saying, "Here, I'm going to help you the rest of the way because I want you to succeed."
Totally.
That's very it was incredibly touching, and it's something that I do hope can work out for anybody, because I can think of so many people who have said, I wish I had people who I knew who were close by who could support them.
Right.
So so yeah, I consider myself very lucky in that way.
No, that's really, really cool. I'm really happy that you were able to meet, your goal. Let me get this back up here so we can look at these guys. Um, I what I know that like you've had an interest like in toys and stuff and everything, but like what was it that made you want to design your own? I mean, as a kid, were you like into sculpting and stuff? Because I can tell you, like, as a kid, I wanted to be good at art, but I never was, could draw okay, couldn't sculpt worth a crap, So when I see things like this,
Yeah.
it's really, really cool. Like to me, it's incredibly impressive. But like, what is it that made you want to be like, this is my passion? Like what was it that drove you into that direction?
So it was really kind of it came down to like a thing where I was sculpting. I think I really started picking up and understanding the concept of sculpting like when I was about 6 years old or so. And
Yeah.
so when I was so it was just time over time, kind of learning and picking up and understanding different things and picking up little techniques here and there. And for what it's worth, I don't think I am anywhere close to being like the world's greatest sculptor at all. But it was when I hi, come on, come here. It's okay.
Oh, we have another guest.
Yeah, it's my little girl. She's missing her
Oh,
mommy. She's out with friends today, so tonight, but she'll be home in a little bit. That's okay. I will
well.
say, I will say one of the nicest things is having someone who believes in you, and
Oh yeah.
that is also a driving factor when it comes to getting these things done. Isn't that right, Slush? It's okay. She just turned 6 yesterday. It was
Well,
her birthday.
happy freaking birthday. That's amazing.
Yeah, happy birthday. she's
Um,
nervous. But yeah, I it was sort of one of those things. I mentioned I think in our last time we talked, I was looking at the first book that Super Seven put out, which
yeah.
was about which when they were showing old photography of kaiju toys, and it just opened up a whole other world for me. And I was like, this is amazing. I really want to get involved on this. And finding all those people out there who were about this in the same places I was, who had the same dream. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And my wife, who was then at the time my girlfriend, said, you know what, if it's something that you feel passionate about, do it. And so I went for it. Hey, I think I hear mom.
That's super
She's up.
cool. Yeah, it's to be able to follow your dream like that, is incredibly important, and I'm glad you were able to have that. Um, for those of you who are watching at home, I just wanted to point out that you can actually go get all three of these figures if you go over to Jeff's Etsy store. So you can get,
Oh,
and you can even get King Liger on there too.
yes. Yeah, I just recently put out the white version of King Liger, and the as you can see, I have a painted version of him too that I did a little while ago.
I
I
love
finished
that.
doing last year. That was it was really funny. I was actually going to put that out before the pandemic happened, and there was going to be a show that Lulabelle was going to do um, in in like around March or April, and then everything started getting canceled, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm not putting these out, and like then everything happened with the pandemic, and it is what it is. I actually, to be honest, I never actually stopped working. I never stopped working at the place I was at. Things just kept going because I was considered a essential worker.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say, within the time that we had last talked, there have been changes of things that I have done that have really helped me in learning more stuff with this and doing more stuff on my own. So that's kind of the fun of it. I always one of the best parts is that I can take some of the skills that I've been doing and apply it to apply it to my passions, and that's the best. That's one of the most rewarding parts of it. I ended up going back to school for machining, CNC machining, computer numeric control, and I learned how to operate lathes. I learned how to operate computerized mills. You want to go see
That's
mommy?
awesome.
There you go. She's okay. Thanks, babe.
Nice little cameo there.
It's nice. I always think about you remember the that viral video of that guy having that interview on like the BBC, and then like this kid just marches, this like little toddler just marches in behind him and starts
Yeah,
being goofy.
yeah,
That's what I think of, and I just think of, well, how I would like how someone should handle that is more of just like, just don't be afraid of the kid, just bring him in, it's okay. So I was totally cool about that. I knew that was probably going to happen. I'm fine with it. But yeah, the best thing was that I was able to take all the skills that I've learned over the past couple of years and do more. The biggest thing that the biggest takeaway I can say to anyone who wants to get into soft vinyl or into Sofubi art toys is do as much as you can up front before you say, okay, I can't do any more beyond this point. Because it'll save you so much more money in the long run. It will
totally.
make you feel a lot more rewarded. It's going to be a lot more rewarding in the end. And yeah, it's going to alleviate a lot of headaches for people at the next step. So yeah, you'll be doing people favors if you are able to do everything as much as you can from cradle to the grave. And for the most part, that's sort of what I have been trying to do. I can get as far as waxing and jointing things, and then beyond that, I have I have done some electroforming with some earlier projects that we did. Which I did, and I have some documentations of that on my YouTube channel. It's funny, people still subscribe to me on my YouTube. I haven't put up new videos in years, but like it's mainly what I do is I keep it as an open discussion. Oh yeah, by the way,
I love
I
it.
keep it as an open discussion. I try to keep it open end with all the videos that I had made over the many years that I had been doing it. And from that, I have gotten correspondence from all over the world. I
That's
couldn't.
fantastic.
I might not be like a Clutter magazine Toy of the Year winner or anything like that, but I can at least hang my hat on the fact that I have, in one way or another, helped out people.
That's
I
cool.
like to. I love to talk about this whole process. I like to keep awareness about it because there have been so many times when I was younger that I didn't think this was a possibility for me. And the fact that there is so much out here like that has been available to me just by doing a little bit of research was just so rewarding. Um,
That's
I've
fantastic.
talked to folks in Denmark. I've talked to people in Slovenia. I've
Wow.
talked to people in Brazil. Most recently, someone out on the West Coast, uh, who I mentioned earlier before we got online,
Mhm.
had been studying a lot of my videos and had actually started building up his own shop for actually casting and making all this.
Wow.
And so what's nice is that even though I don't have the space and all the time to be able to do as much of this, I'm so happy to know that what if I was able to crawl or walk, someone was able to run. And so
Totally.
that's the best part of it. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm just a tad bit jelly, but I love it because they come back and say, do you want to work with me? Do you want to do all this stuff? And I'm like, I want to. I just need to get the money together and do that sort of stuff. I need to be able to take that time to get that going. But that's what side hustles are for. Uh, but yeah, so uh, things that I can. Oh, we can. Has there been any questions that anybody has about the process or anything yet?
Yeah, I was actually going to say if anyone in the chat has any questions about, either the Neofighter figures themselves or the process of making your own figures, please go ahead and type right there below.
Mhm.
We saw something from RJ earlier, and he was, this is exactly what I said. As someone who grew up with Muscle Man figurines from the 80s and the Monsters in My Pocket from the 90s, I greatly enjoy these. And I'm right there with
Oh,
you.
awesome.
Like I remember getting Monsters in My Pocket like at the store. I think I got like the muscle stuff, like yard sales and things like that. But I had both, and I loved that style of toy.
I
Um,
ended up getting all of my muscle men like when I was older. But when I was a kid, we got the knockoff muscle men, which were called Muscle Mania. And they were like just a little bit bigger. They're just a little bit bigger than. Let's see if I have one. I think yeah, I do. Hold on.
let's see it.
So I'm gonna do just a size comparison real quick. Okay. Yes. Okay. So this is a Kinnikuman Kinkeshi Gumo figure. This is like one of those Japanese eraser ones. And then
Okay.
this is a Muscle Mania. And Muscle Manias are like, look at how tall how big he
I
is
know.
compared. So unfortunately they weren't quite in congruent. They weren't quite compatible with those, but that's where like Twist Kid was more compatible with Muscle Men, but the first Twist Kid figure. But Super 7, who I mentioned before, when I was looking at their old book, they have evolved. People who don't know who Super 7 is now they must be living under a rock, because Super 7 now has put out some amazing work of licensed figures, and they've come such a long way since they started out as what they called themselves international toy pirates. They've been doing stuff. They actually very interesting. They just revealed for their reaction line that they're doing a Marusan Godzilla in like 3 3/4 inch. Did you
Yeah.
see that? Yeah.
I saw some pictures. Yeah.
So they were working with Mattel a whole bunch as well, and Mattel currently holds the license to WWE. And for a little while, they were putting out Muscle Men. They since they had the license to Muscle as well, because through Mattel, they were able to repurpose that series and apply it to current current licenses.
Nice.
So what's funny is that the ones that were that they made, who is sculpted, I believe it's sculpted by an artist. Her name is Seriously Silly K on Instagram. Seriously Silly K.
Seriously,
She's
silly K. Got it.
yes, that's her whole name. But yeah, she actually did the sculpting for, I believe, the WWE ones. There was Street Sharks ones. They did ones of
Wow.
Alien. They did ones of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. They did Street Fighter. But yeah, they just did the Muscle series. And what's ironic about that is that they weren't the size of the original American Muscles. They were the size of Muscle Mania figures. So what ended up happening, I would say it's a bit of an irony, because they were like, we're going to cash in on the style of this old series but we can't make them the same size. Oh, they're the same size as the knockoff ones that were made. So I love it, and that's okay, because that matches the size of the toys I'm making, and they're also the size of Battle Beasts. They're
Oh yeah, I
that
remember
was
those guys.
another great thing, is that they match Battle Beast size, and I was
Yeah,
so
I forgot
happy.
about Battle Beasts.
Battle Beasts rock.
That's
So
awesome.
I love Battle Beasts. That was the one that we did get to collect a little more when I was a kid. I think we just missed the boat on muscle, but like I said, a friend of mine was just getting rid of a whole bunch of his toys one day, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting all these muscles, nice. And then that just kind of opened up the whole world of what Kinkeshi, Gumo, and all those other style of toys was. Now, like I kind of turned my camera earlier before the show, just what was on my shelf. What you can't see is that there is a whole bunch of I have like little tiny Keshi figures now of like various kaiju toys,
Oh, nice.
and I've never seen them get this small before. But if you have a guys that like 2 inches tall like this, I have Ultraman Ace, who's even smaller now,
Wow.
and even smaller than that, I have Zerub, my favorite outer space potato man. I love Zerub.
That's amazing.
He's he's one of my favorite. I like all the alien bad guys from Ultraman. So I love Zerub. I like Mephiles. Baltan, Baltan eventually grew on me, but yeah, Mephiles and Zerub and I think Red King. Oh yeah, that's one of the great things is that I wanted to make these guys. I'm not really good at painting. Like, just to be honest, I kind of stumble with airbrushing. I wish I could do better, but I like making blanks of these guys just so like the opportunity for painting them is there and people can kind of make their own custom styles of them.
Oh yeah.
I actually did do one. I think you saw it earlier. I did paint a gray Daikuma that was given to me
Oh, cool.
by the guy who made this, by the guy who helped me produce. And so I was like, I want to paint him, but I was like, I can't. I know I can't do airbrushing with him. I don't have the space. I don't have like the time to do it.
Right.
So a technique that I learned about is called rubbing. So that was all I did was I took the airbrush paint and I just did I just slopped it over and then I just wiped away. And what ended up happening was all my guys have like really kind of deep details sort of stuff that gets kind of lost when they're not painted. But everything just popped when I did that, and I
That's really
loved
cool.
it. It's a really fun technique that I just feel really comfortable doing, and I think everybody has their way when it comes to learning how to do stuff. And
Oh yeah.
eventually I'll be able to get better at airbrushing. One of the fun things that I did do last year was I got to go to DesignerCon for the first time.
Oh,
And
nice.
DesignerCon, for those who don't know what DesignerCon is, and for people who want to get involved in the world of designer toys, DesignerCon is an event that you should try to learn about if you don't know about it yet. It is one of 2 big designer toy shows that happens in America, just in America. And there's now a UK version of it as well.
Oh, cool.
But DesignerCon is put together by a company out of Pasadena called 3D Retro, led by Ben Goretzky. And it's essentially a chance for people all over the world to come and sell their designer toys and have a platform that they normally wouldn't get to have. And within there is a whole section of people who are doing soft vinyl toys. There are people who I got to network and got to meet who I never thought I'd ever get to meet. For the first time, I got to meet Paul Kaiju, and I was super happy to meet Paul Kaiju. He is one of the first people that I had researched when I was learning about toys in the first place.
That's neat.
I got to meet Gary Baseman, who, if Gary Baseman, he transcends art as far as designer toys goes, because he made a cartoon back in the '90s called Teacher's Pet. He did
Okay.
art. He did a whole bunch of great, like really poppy '90s art that like you would just recognize it. And what was really funny about meeting Gary Baseman was that he was standing and talking with Matt Groening at the time that I saw him. Like my friend who was with me, we were walking out of the bathroom, and my friend's like, "That's Matt Groening. Like, that's Matt Groening. And that's Gary Baseman." I was like, I want to go talk to him. So I was like, and so like as my icebreaker was me just saying, "You have to forgive me. I never thought I'd see both of you talking to each other ever." that's and that's how I just broke the ice, talking to talk with Matt Groening and Gary Baseman, and I talked to them about what I was doing. I showed them my stuff, and it was cool because they touched my stuff. It was that's this little fanboy thing. They touched my stuff. But what's really funny, this was one of the funniest things I noticed was that there's a whole subsection of designer toys which is bootlegging toys.
Yeah.
People like, if you know who like the Suck Lord is, DKE Toys does a lot of it. Victor's Vintage out of Scandinavia does bootleg toys. A lot of stuff. It's usually making fun of Mickey Mouse or a lot of Star Wars, and like sometimes Batman, but also The Simpsons. And so kitty corner to where I was when I was talking with Gary Baseman and Matt Groening was DKE Toys booth, and there was some Simpsons bootleg art toys, and
Nice.
I was like, oh my god, this is the moment. This is the moment I've been waiting for. I finally get to see the creator of something that was this huge deal get to see somebody ripping them off. I'm like, yes, yes, what's gonna happen? And Matt Groening walks up to it. Matt Groening walks up to it. He says, "Oh yeah, I got a few of these."
That's awesome.
So it's like that. But one thing I can say, and this does go back to kind of what I was saying about the whole concept of process in general. When I said like my wife and I love like Futurama and Disenchantment, and we were just like really, I was really happy to tell him that, and he said, "Well, it's really cool, but like one thing that I can say is that it's because you can like I can say those things are successful because I'm working with people who are way better than me." Is what he said. He said like just to have someone who knows how to draw the back of Bart Simpson's head is a huge deal. And
Yeah.
that just it's just very humbling to know that someone who has basically made one of the biggest IPs in the past 40 years is able to be that down to earth and to recognize that that it does take it can take more than just one person to make something happen.
Oh yeah.
And what I will say is that that does bring me to the point of who helped me make these. I originally was like I said, was going to work with Lulabelle Toy Bodega, but of course times were getting hard during COVID, and I was able to try to keep an open line of communication with them. But on the rise, the new kid on the block was this fella. This fella who has 40 years of toy production experience. His name is Paul Sciola, and he is out of Colorado. He goes by the name of Mile High Sofubi. And there were a couple folks who I had known, who've been kind of my contemporaries at this point, like Jeff DeSantis of Bleeding Edges and Vincent Scala, who's also an indie toy artist slash animator, who had been working with him, and they were getting some great work coming. There was some great work coming out of his studio. I'm like, well, this is great. I gotta talk to him. I gotta find out more about him. And
Absolutely.
Paul is just one of the sweetest men you can meet. He's just such a great guy that and he does all of the casting in-house in America, which at this point in history is a big deal, because everything has been done overseas up until like maybe a few years ago. And don't
Yeah.
quote me on that, but there are people who have, we've gone out to Japan, we've gone out to China to get our stuff made. But yeah, he's what he ends up doing is we end up getting the tooling made in China through his connections there that he's had over the past few years. There's Paul right there. Oh, and yeah, there he is. And over the years where he's had connections still in China where he gets stuff built for tooling. Gets the tooling done there. He brings the tooling here, and he casts everything in plastisol like you would slush cast in Japan.
Nice.
The material is compliant with health codes. It's perfectly safe stuff, and it's really awesome because it's pliable and like the results are nice. It's all handmade. It's made with love, and I was really happy to get to meet him in person at Designer Con as well. And we were able any issues that I had when it came to like some troubleshooting of castings that I had gotten. He looked at it. We looked at it. He's like, I know exactly what to do. Let me just give me the time, and I can do it. And that's great. I would say anyone who's wanting to get into this, it's very easy. At least for me, it was like, as long as you are willing to get out there and talk to folks, it's a scene that people are very passionate about, and they take it very seriously. But as long as you share that passion with them, they're wholeheartedly, most of the time, very open to helping you get things made and help
Great.
find ways to produce stuff.
That's fantastic.
There's like I said, a fella down in Brazil who I've built a rapport with. His name's Alexander Nito. He has a company named Spec Toys, and I helped him do a little commercial for his toys, which were like a spiritual successor of the Dino Saucers, which were big in Brazil. They had all the toys that we never got of this cartoon that came out in America.
I remember that TJ Omega actually has some toys of that thing, I think.
And he ended up making a spiritual successor of them called the Dinonautas, or the Dinonauts.
Nice.
Fantásticos Dinonautas is how you'd say it in Portuguese. And so like I helped him out, and I did a voiceover. I did my same weird voiceover that I did in the video for the Neophyters for his thing in English. And so he's had those produced. A fellow who I met at Designer Con is doing work with him as well. His name is Barely Human on Instagram, and he's making characters called planetoids, and which is basically Star Wars kind of characters. He does Star Wars and Planet of the Apes characters. And
that's great.
This character is named Frito-Lays, not Greedo. It's Frito-Lays. That's, you want Greedo, that's Greedo, okay? That's Greedo. This is Frito-Lay, entirely different character.
That's a McClunky figure if I ever saw one, you know?
I love them. I love them. And yeah, this is Brazilian soft vinyl, and
That's
and
awesome.
that's yeah. And once upon a time, I think I did show you this in our last stream. Was that he had even went through the trouble at one point making a version of King Liger for me out of like
Oh
that he
wow.
had sculpted. And I really want to do work with him. He's one of the next people on my list that I want to do business with, because I see that passion. I see that passion. I see that really good communication. And for people, like I said, if you want to get into this, there are people out there who are happy and willing to help you get stuff made. The only thing I recommend, like I said, is do as much as you can up front. If the furthest you can do is draw something, that's it. That's okay. But the nice thing that I learned from a lot of people, including the people who I had researched and people who I had met, they said it's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
It's something you can, if it could take you, a year, it could take you 2 years, it could take you a whole decade. I didn't. I kind of started getting serious about this in about 2008. I didn't get to actually produce a soft vinyl toy until 2016. And
Well,
even after that, yeah,
yeah, you're never too young or too old to learn something new, It's
absolutely.
all
And
about just taking steps.
yeah, and
Um,
it's something I always say is like I try to learn something new every day. And
no,
that's
it's a wonderful
yeah.
philosophy to live by. Um, we have 2 questions for you, and I just wanna we will probably wrap up a little bit after these, but, both of them are from RJ. So part
Yeah.
1 is, what came first, learning how to sculpt or learning the process of selling stuff online or learning to design characters?
Okay, that is a good question. So the sculpting was just kind of a fundamental that I had and I had built upon. And then what came after that was sort of applying that fundamental that I had to designing characters. Some people do it two different ways. Some people will sculpt it and like sculpt the character from just their mind.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's easier that way because I can do proportions better sculpting than I can do drawing. And
Mhm.
some people can start out with just drawing stuff and then applying it from there. I like it just kind of depends on like what you're most comfortable with. And as far as
Oh, yeah.
selling stuff online, don't get me started. That's selling. I will say, that passion that like my wife would call this had called this a hobby for a while,
Yeah.
but I was looking at it as a kind of a small business. But the reality is that because it's both. It's right in between, because I'm not in this to make money, but I am in it to further my opportunities to make it. So really, it's doing what I can to put it to get money to make more stuff over time. And to make a profit off it is cool, but that's what I would call a passion, a passion project. And I would say anybody who is a creator of any sorts knows what I mean when I say passion project.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
just to be transparent, I probably don't think I'll ever make back the money I had to make King Liger, and I don't expect to. I I probably It'll probably take a long time for me to make back anything when it comes to getting these guys made, and
Yeah.
I don't expect. I really don't. Um,
Yeah. I mean, when it's a passion project, you do it because you wanna do it. and going in without any expectation of any kind of return on it outside of the, I guess, sense of accomplishment that you're going to receive is really the way to go.
I mean, that said, that said, when it comes to money, when it comes to selling stuff, it is something that actually is probably the newest part of what I've been doing.
Mhm.
I had been listening to a podcast recently by her name is Agel Wade. She has this website called thetoycoach.com. She has a toy creators academy that she does. That's her gig. But she worked for Toys R Us for a decade, or she has 10 years experience working in toys. She's made stuff for Toys R Us for their home brands,
Nice.
and she talks to folks who do all kinds of different things in the toy industry, not the designer toy industry, but the toy industry, which I guess is a lot smaller than I thought it was. If I thought that, I guess it's just a bit bigger than the designer toy world. So it's as long as you have a way of connecting to people or wanting to learn, wanting to talk with people. One of the biggest takeaways I had was being consistent with posting stuff.
Right.
Currently I am I'm well under 300 followers on Instagram. And
Nice.
Instagram is the place I post the most. It doesn't compare to the thousands. Like, some people who start following me have like well more than that, like twice that amount. Some people have thousands. I don't I don't compare to that. But I will say, when I was posting when I was in the past few weeks, when I was posting all the progress that I was doing on getting these guys cut up and assembled and ready, I was doing it just about every single day, and I gained about 20 followers on Instagram just
Yeah.
because I was posting. And also by trolling NFT bros, by the way. So if you happen to notice that my URL is Neo Fighter Toys, what are the initials of that?
I see. Gotcha. Nice.
So
Clever.
I gamed the hashtag because, like, it only proved my point of making fun of those of the NFT bros, because all I did was I just used the hashtag NFT because they are Neo Fighter Toys. And by the way, I have that URL well before NFTs came up. It's mine. It's mine.
That's awesome.
So I end up getting all these likes and all these posts and comments, and it might have helped the algorithm a little bit. People say, "Dude, you can share this on this NFT page." I'm like, it's not an NFT, you punk. So yeah, that is one little fun thing. I have this stuff here on the table. I just remembered we were going to do this.
Oh, the giveaway. Yeah. Okay. We can do that real quick.
Yeah, I should have just asked about that. How do you want to do this?
Well, we're gonna do. Fortunately, I have this locked up here. This is the email address that you guys are going to send an email to. So go get that ready. The thing with this is you have to be comfortable with sharing your mailing address, because Geoff will be the one who is mailing this stuff off to you, or him and I will figure it out. One of us is going to be mailing this stuff to you. And Geoff, can you just show off what they are playing for? We had to still figure out how this is working, but what are we sending them?
Well, Matt, tonight they are going to be playing for a very special item indeed. They are going to be getting a Kickstarter exclusive set of the Neo Fighters in black. Now, these were given to higher ranked backers who they put out a little extra money to get these. Now, one of the folks who backed this, who said that they were getting rewards, said, Geoff, I want to just let you know I wanted to do this just to help you out. I wasn't expecting anything in return. I would gladly be happy to forfeit my back rewards for them to go to someone who would be happy, who would love to get them. So we have here the Kickstarter exclusive set of the 3 characters. On the back, you get a grayscale version of the pixel art.
Awesome.
You get you get a choking hazard warning, and that it's for ages 13 and up. So yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's so cool, and thank you for offering that up. I had completely spaced on that.
That's okay. I did too.
Should we make it? Should we just, this is what we did with the last guest who we had giveaways for, as opposed to like doing any trivia thing or whatever. Should we just take whoever says they would like to have Neofighters, the Neofighter exclusive Patreon toy, that they just need to shoot an email, and the first person to get it gets it?
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I can't think of any good trivia to come up with, but
go ahead.
Oh, I got one.
Okay, so now it's a trivia contest. Okay, so get your emails ready.
I'm sorry. The answer that I was going to say was
they're all waiting. They're like, I want this toy.
I know. This is the Monstrosities toy related kind of thing.
Oh boy.
What is the naughty word on Monstrosities that we don't say? That and a hint is that it's a robot.
It's a robot, starts with a G, ends in a dam. First person.
Oh,
I didn't say it. I didn't say anything. First person to send that over will get it. I got my email open right now. Shoot it over to that.
Oh.
What's the answer?
Yeah. And for what it's worth, by the way, if TJ was on here, I would have definitely dished a whole bunch with him about who my favorite ones it was. I don't know what you see against Gundam. Oh shit!
Oh! Look at what happened, guys. Geoff got kicked off his own stream.
Okay. I'm going. Oh no! Oh no!
When you have a friend who just nonstop talks about it, and all he ever shows you is a bunch of endless boxes of models and toys, of which you continually see pile up but never actually built or anything like that, and the fact that you watch certain movies and shows and it's just all the same thing, it's basically military porn. It's just kind of like, I'm good,
well, that's the fun of it though, is that, like, first of all, if you're going to say an endless anything when it comes to that, you call it an endless waltz. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, because this conversation about the G word is so fascinating, Geoff. But we actually have a winner, and he actually just showed up here. You ready for this? It is the one and only Sal, Ultrazilla toy reviewer.
Oh,
just
great!
Came in and said, let me say, as someone in the comics industry, I spent my early years self-publishing and spending money I never saw back. I have zero regrets, though, as it was investing money into myself, which worked, which is amazing. Sal always shows up here. He's a great guy. He makes great content, and he's a toy guy. So
great, Sal.
I can't think of a better dude to get this. So congratulations, Sal. I'm going to have to reach out to you to get your address, so then Geoff and I can figure out what's happening. But
yeah. Oh, and Sal, before you go, Sal, I am going to I am actually going to sweeten this pot for you, because I forgot about this. As well as getting the black set, you're going to get a set of the vinyl figures, of the vinyl stickers, right there, of the pixel art. So Daikuma, the Gruen, and Twist Kid. Where's my camera? There it is. And and you're also going to get a little button, That's awesome. The button was made by Button Lab, and the stickers were made by a great company, a a great guy named Stickerfied. So Stickerfied he does some great work. He was really excited when I brought those up. He said, "Oh, I've never gotten to do pixel art before." So he was pretty jazzed about that.
Looks like you're going to get a review too. So as Sal said, you definitely got the right guy tonight. So
Yay.
A pro toy review. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Yes, that's great. Thank you, Sal. I really appreciate that. I can definitely get that sent out to you. I got all the envelopes to do that for you. So we'll work something out for you.
Congratulations, Sal.
Congratulations, Sal.
I just noticed that we were at the hour mark, and I was wondering if you'd like to go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just glad that I didn't crash like my side didn't crash like last time. So that's always good. I think
it goes for both of us because, like I was telling you before, I have tech issues too at random times. Unfortunately, nothing came on my end or your end tonight. So
this is technically the third time that I think we've done this, because the first time we had this thing where like it was the whole stream, like YouTube was just being awful and
oh god,
like,
didn't we have you on the phone or something?
Yeah, you had me on the phone and someone had made the crack of, oh yeah, this guy is telling all the secrets of how to make toys through a tin can, like talking through a tin can.
God, yep, I remember that.
And the other one was that the Wi-Fi dropped over because everybody was using the Wi-Fi in my home. And now this time, third time's a charm. So I'm glad about this. I am really glad about this. So.
Yeah, no, I thank you for coming on. Before we wrap up though, can you go ahead and plug away? I know there was also some people that you said you wanted to give some shout outs to.
Yes. Okay. So we'll start with me, and you can find me. The best place to find me is on Instagram, and that is just my name at Geoff Maxfield, all one word. And that is you can see that's the very special English spelling, which is at GeoffMaxfield. There I am. Yes, with my hair swooshed back in the wind. Lovely. But yeah, that's the place where I'm posting most everything. Twitter is just impossible to do anything. Like I tried doing Twitter before. Like I'll try posting on Twitter. Doesn't like it's throwing things into the void. I don't know how people do Twitter. I legitimately cannot figure it out for the life of me. Let's see here. You can also find my YouTube channel, which is Geoff Maxfield. You can just search for me on YouTube. You can find some of my videos that I had made over the years, kind of talking about process and some of my research. I am very open to always trying to answer any questions I can, and if I can't answer it, I'll always send you to someone who I know who can answer it. And when it comes to those people, I am going to mention some folks out there who are producers that can definitely help you. First off, I mentioned Paul Shiola, who helped me make the Neo Fighters. His handle is Mile High Sofubi on Instagram, as well as Sputnik Supplies, like the Russian thing, like the Russian space satellite, Sputnik Supplies. And so he has both of those handles on Instagram, as well as milehighsofubi.com. The fellow who I mentioned on the West Coast is Suraga Mark. And I feel so bad because I almost used to call him Sugar Mark because it's spelled so similar, but it's Suraga, which is SURAGA Mark, MARK, on Instagram. And then the other fella down in Brazil, whose name is Alexander Nito, who helped make Barely Humans toys and made the Dino Natas and made the other version of King Liger. He is at Spec Toys, which is SPEC Toys, and again, all one word on Instagram. You can also find, I think you can find Alex as well on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. I'll friend you on. You can. I'll probably respond to you on Facebook with friend requests and stuff. Just don't be weird. That's all. I think that's all anybody asks. But yeah, I'll definitely I'll join you, or I'll let you join in on the party that may or may not be me. And other folks out there. There's I want to do give a quick congratulations. I'm not sure if he's watching, but Spumoni Toys just had a Kickstarter succeed. He's making a giant robot. He's making a robot with, I believe he's making it with Squibbles ink. He's worked with a guy. He's working with Doomco Designs, who's also been doing a lot of stuff in America. He's been doing a lot of 3D sculpting in VR. But Spumoni Co Toys, or Spumoni Co on Instagram. He's a great character, a great guy to check out. Did somebody just say something? Somebody say something.
Anyway. No, Sal was just agreeing with you.
Oh, Spumoni Toys. Yes, very good. Thank you. Good. Sal knows. He knows. Sal knows. What do you know? That's good. Yes. So absolutely. I'm an open book when it comes to this. You just I'll help you. And hopefully I won't be an asshole. So.
Well, I highly doubt that.
Oh,
I highly doubt that you're going to be a butthead, because you're not a butthead. Sorry, that came out wrong.
Hey, butthead. One thing I will say before we all do go, I do want to say, Yog.
Oh, that's a callback that nobody remembers.
It's my favorite callback. You got Mr. Mingophiles in the back there, and I do. I think I sooner think of Yog more than manga, but I like that. And by the way, just a quick shoot the shit. Getting to see your stuff last year when you were showing off your old Channel Awesome stuff, because I had not. We met like a couple years prior, so I didn't know about your Channel Awesome stuff. Yeah. I think I do. I think I might owe you a bit of an apology, because I didn't realize that your Apollo Z Hack transformation character kind of resembles somebody who I was sculpting just a little bit. I'm like, oh hey, he's got one eye too. That's cool. So like, I thought that was pretty. That was pretty cool. Like, yay, more one-eyed dudes. So yeah,
I'm sorry you had to bear witness to the Channel Awesome stuff. That was definitely a more interesting, colorful part of the past. But
it's a sign of it was a time and place in the internet, and things evolve from it. Some for better, some for worse. For you better. I want shit. That just sounds like I'm dissing you. I'm really sorry. No,
you don't have to apologize. I'm not. I mean, technically, I just dissed you without wanting to diss you like 5 minutes ago. So it's all good.
Really? Oh, I didn't catch it. That's how dense I am.
No, you're not dense. It came off wrong, but anyways.
Oh, I know. But I to be honest, what I will say about that time and place when it came to internet stuff, I always did admire how well people were able to put out content, or how successful people were able to put out content when it came to understanding After Effects and understanding special effects stuff on computers. That's where, like, that was essentially the era of which I was graduated from, but I just didn't have the opportunities that other people had. And so I'm always happy to to see that people were able to make something happen during a time that was very hard for people to get jobs out of college.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
came to content creation. It's that the form of that work is what like people did to make do with not getting full-time jobs in the field that they were going to school for,
Yeah.
and so it's admired. Like whatever the concept is, whatever the basis of the content was, it's admired that you were doing something that was able to further your abilities.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a time, but I appreciate the words for sure. Acno sent $20 over. Thank you, Acno. He asked, when is the next After Dark? Thank you for staying on topic, Acno. I don't know, and you usually know how it goes, Acno. They happen when they happen, but thank you so much for the $20. You don't need to be sending super chats, but it is still much appreciated. Well, I think that this is gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. So, Geoff, thank you again so much for coming in. Again, people, go check out. Let's see here. Hold on, I had it right up. Go check out the Etsy store, Neofighter Toys. All one word. You can get all three of those figures plus King Liger if you so choose. Really cool stuff. And like Geoff was saying, he's just a repository of knowledge with this. If you are into this stuff, if you are wanting to learn more about this stuff, please pick his brain about the subject, because he loves talking about it. He has a real passion for it, and he's pretty damn good at what he does. So once more, thank you so much, Geoff, for coming in.
Absolutely. Anytime, Matt. Thank you so much for taking the time for out of your schedule to let me come on and talk about this. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. Wave goodbye to everybody. But Geoff, don't close the browser when we end the broadcast.
I will.
Say bye.
Bye.